Unlike the last few Januaries, this transfer window didn't disappoint. 430 million quid was spent this month by Premier League clubs, and a deadline day record of 150 million quid was spent as well. So with such an epic transfer window, let's have a look at the top 10 transfers of January. With a bit of help from the Ball Street Network, let's kick off, as it did at the start of the month, with Liverpool, who have 3 entries in our top 10. So of all the teams in the Premier League, Liverpool kicked off with a bang. It was them who went first, as it were. And the Coutinho deal, it's the most money spent in January, a huge deal, and one that was done without a lot of drama.
Well, you say without a lot of drama. Very much a continuation of the drama from the summer, more than anything else. One of those, it was a bit like that horror movie situation where you think that they've killed the bad guy and then he comes back for one last scare. But in this instance, James, the bad guy comes back to life and kills our protagonist. And, Barcelona completed the Coutinho deal. And I guess probably on the flip side, Southampton probably feel exactly the same about Virgil van Dijk as well.
Did you see that coming then? Did you honestly felt like you'd got away with it?
I did not. I didn't think there was a chance in hell Liverpool would sell Coutinho in January. I didn't see the sense in fighting off Barcelona's approaches all summer, then to sell a guy midway through the season. It was such a crazy move, and a lot of the Liverpool fume and the criticism that's been levelled at Liverpool and at Klopp and at the owners in the last week or so of the last few days of the transfer window has centered entirely around that. You're selling a guy who's a 20 goal a season, 15 to 20 assists maker. You're bringing 140 million pounds into the bank, and you're not spending it on anyone. Doesn't even look as though anyone was likely to come in as the replacement.
With losing Coutinho but getting Van Dijk, do you feel like you're stronger overall or not?
All Liverpool needed was a centre half. They needed a top quality centre half because the ones we've got are not good enough. We probably needed 2, and I think one of that will be addressed more in the summer. But to go January without buying, if you couldn't get Van Dijk, we couldn't wait any longer. The deal had to be done January, or we move on to someone else. So in that regard, look, Liverpool plugged the hole. There was one glaring omission in that squad, and that was a top quality centre half. We've gone out and done that. So Liverpool are theoretically, I think Liverpool's best 11 is better, but we've weakened what we do best. In that, be creative, be attacking, be a real threat at the other end of the pitch.
Yeah. In what you've seen, because like you say, Virgil van Dijk, that was done so early, unlike other people that we're chatting to about the transfers that they've done, which are done late in the window, you've seen him now. Do you see that top quality centre back that you were talking about for 6 months?
Absolutely. He's head and shoulders better than what we've got, and you could see that from the first 15 minutes of him being on the pitch. He's genuinely fantastic. The big question for this season is, can Klopp get him up to speed in terms of fitness and just in terms of totally integrating him into the side? Because again, that is the big problem with January transfers. Yeah. Is Liverpool, particularly and Jurgen Klopp's sides in general, are built around the team ethic.
Daniel Sturridge has left the club. He's gone on loan to West Brom. That's a relationship that Liverpool fans, I would imagine, would be quite sad about because of how well he did initially, and also probably a little bit of frustration, I would say, as well, because there's always been this kind of feeling that either Klopp can't figure out Sturridge, or Sturridge can't figure out what Klopp's trying to kind of, put forward to him. How much of a loss is Daniel Sturridge to Liverpool Football Club?
Daniel Sturridge is not the loss to Liverpool that I think he would have been 3 or 4 seasons ago. I think that kind of goes without saying, to be honest. I think it's a gamble in so much as it means that a Danny Ings or a Dominic Solanke have to step up to be in that 12th or 13th man, as it were. And neither of them has got a proven goal scoring record that Daniel Sturridge has.
So he needed a change. Do you think Daniel Sturridge will get what he needs at West Brom? And do you think, and what will West Brom get? Will they get what they need?
Yeah, I actually do, but I don't think I'd have said that even as long as 2 weeks ago. The West Brom that I saw at Anfield in the league, where we drew 0-0 with them, was still very much a Tony Pulis mentality, even under Pardew. It was park the bus, it was, look to disrupt. It wasn't looking to cause Liverpool any problems. The side that played us in the FA Cup, with Jay Rodriguez finding a little bit of form, they were playing two up top. I think Cal Robson-Carney was supporting him. I actually weirdly think that Pardew could be capable of getting something out of you if you give Daniel Sturridge a strike partner, if you don't task him with doing all the running, if you let someone be his legs to some extent and just work him into good positions. I think Daniel Sturridge could have a really effective end to the season. And again, as you say, he gets to put himself in the eye of Gareth Southgate. He's not gone too far afield as well, which will help him in that regard. And we might just give West Brom what they need, that little extra touch of class to get themselves out of trouble.
Final question, is his Liverpool career over?
Yes.
Cheers.
I
was not watching this.
No, Daniel Sturridge's Liverpool career has been over realistically for 3 seasons. You need someone who scores the goals, and you need someone who can also do all the running. And look at Roberto Firmino. Look at how he's working. He's got 19 goals in all competitions this season, and you can see the class and the work rate that he offers. We need more of that, really.
Across Merseyside, despite spending a hell of a lot of money in the summer, it looked like they needed to go back and get more options going forward and a bit of pace as well. They bought Cenk Tosun, but they also ended the 12-year Arsenal career of Theo Walcott, buying him for 20 million. You look over and you see someone like Theo Walcott, and I never saw him as an Everton player, but as soon as Allardyce came in, and it seemed quite glaring that felt like you lacked a bit of pace. And then you saw the problems that Walcott was having in the amount of game time he was getting. It then all just started to kind of fit together. But he's always been potential, it feels like. How do you feel about him? Can you get excited about Theo Walcott at Everton?
We have a style. I honestly hate to use the word style because it doesn't feel like a style, but we play in a certain way. And I don't know if that gets the best out of any top player. I don't know if you could put any top player in our team and get a tune out of them at the moment. So it's going to be hard for him, but I think he is the kind of player who will get his head down and work hard, because I think he'll see this as do you know what I see it as? I've looked at him so far and I've seen, it's like his Twitter account and his Instagram account, and he seems to be a guy who's got really good PR behind him and someone looking after him. And I think he'll think this is a really good chance to become the face of the Everton Football Club. And obviously he's got to be scoring goals and doing the business on the pitch. So I think he's relishing the opportunity, and hopefully he'll take it.
Simple answer then. What does your gut say? Will Theo Walcott be a success at Everton?
I think he will be a success. It just depends on what your notion of success is. I think he'll do okay. He mightn't set any records, but I think he'll do okay.
Halfway through January, it really did start to kick off. The Sanchez story was one that we saw rumble on through the summer, and we were waiting to see, would he sign a contract or not. He did sign a contract, but not for Arsenal, for Manchester United. Here's what Sam had to think about the Mkhitaryan move to Arsenal and the Sanchez move to Manchester United.
Mkhitaryan to Arsenal was a transfer that suited Manchester United as much as it suited Arsenal as well. Just like Alexis Sanchez going the other direction. It suited both clubs, and Mkhitaryan, great player. United didn't sign him because he was an average player. He was fantastic at Dortmund. And he's one of the main reasons we actually won the Europa League, and he scored in the final. But it just didn't work out at United. Mourinho, he doesn't work with every single player. You've seen it throughout his whole career. He lets good players go and he brings good players in. And Mkhitaryan's one of those players, but Arsenal have signed a very good player. It's just there's question marks over his mental fragility. Tuchel was the one manager who got the best out of him. And if Wenger can get the best out of him, he's going to be fantastic for Arsenal. There were a lot of good transfers in January. Van Dijk to Liverpool, Moura to Spurs, Aubameyang to Arsenal. But Man United signed Alexis Sanchez. For me, I think it's the best bit of business. We've signed a Premier League proven world-class finisher, and Aubameyang could be fantastic at Arsenal, but there is the risk that it might take him a little bit of time to adapt. Sanchez will not take that time to adapt, and that's why I think United have got the best transfer in January.
It's been a difficult season for Southampton, struggling at the bottom of the table and struggling to score goals, so they were quick to go into the transfer market and get themselves a striker. They were able to do that with Carrillo, a striker from Monaco that they got for 19.1 million. Here's Freddie from the Ugly Inside talking about how important he's going to be for them.
What Carrillo will bring, though, is great height, 6'3" of him, big target man, somebody to aim for, somebody we're missing of that calibre since Graziano Pella left. He brings great strength, and he also brings great ability in the air for somebody, for the wingers and the midfielders to aim for. We've not been playing to our forward strength so far this season. That's partly down to why Gabbiadini hasn't been firing. Carrillo needs to find his feet quickly. If we have any chance of staying up in this Premier League, we're right in that dogfight of 10 clubs, so any one of them could go down. But we need to play to his strengths, play to his height, get the balls over to him, make him bully some defenders. We've been overly reliant on Charlie Austin's goals this season, and we know he's going to come with a couple of injuries every season. He's only scored 6 so far. Carrillo needs to find his feet quickly if we have any chance.
Despite the disappointment of losing Sanchez to Manchester United, they weren't messing about. They were looking to get a striker in as soon as possible, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was the man. Deluded Guna gave his reaction, and he was pretty pleased at what he could bring to Arsenal this season.
What I like about him, he gets on the end of things. That's the main thing, because we've seen at Arsenal, we like to walk it in, and sometimes when crosses come in, etc., nobody's gambling. Aubameyang is going to gamble. He's in the peak of his prime. It's a very good signing, and I'm very positive. Will we play 2 up front? Will we play a 4-3-3 of sorts with interchanging movements? It remains to be seen. I don't really want him to be used out wide, but we have to be honest, he's played out wide before. You know that Wenger likes to do this stuff with players. That might very well be an option. Like I said, I'm keen to see him up front, in whether it's a 4-3-3 of sorts or it's 2 up front with him and Lacazette. Him running on in behind, using his pace, which I very much like, and Lacazette picking up the spaces he leaves is a very positive signing.
As you know, it wasn't as simple as Aubameyang just got on a plane and came to Arsenal and that was that. There was a whole merry-go-round of transfers that had to happen to get that deal over the line, involving Olivier Giroud leaving Arsenal and going to Chelsea, and Chelsea's Michy Batshuayi going to Dortmund. Here's what CFC Fan TV's Rory had to say about those 2 deals.
So Michy Batshuayi has gone to Dortmund. It's an interesting one, this. I don't really know how I feel. I think Michy Batshuayi is a really good player. I think the way that he converts chances is unreal. He has scored so many goals. He barely starts for Chelsea. I think he scored 11 goals in the 8 starts or something like that, which is, well, it's an impeccable record, isn't it? We haven't got another player like that. Nobody at Chelsea can just put the ball in the back of the net. There are flaws in his game, of course there are. I know that he isn't the complete centre-forward and he doesn't allow Conte to play the system that he hopes to, but what he can do is put the ball in the back of the net, and it troubles me a bit that we don't have anybody around who can do that as well as he can. The other thing that it really doesn't make sense to me is you need players, you need a squad. We now, we started this season with 2 centre-forwards. We still only have 2 centre-forwards. I'm delighted to see Giroud come in. I think he gives Conte an option, but for me it would have worked better if Batshuayi had stayed as well, because where he can't link the play, where he can't do certain things, he has a wonderful eye for a goal, and that could be a real mistake letting that quality leave. On the surface of it, it's great. We have taken a player from one of our biggest rivals, certainly our capital city rivals, and that should really strengthen us. Giroud is a very good player. He's going to allow Conte an option. He's also going to allow us to play a completely different system. The way that he can play with his back to goal, the way that he is in the air, is going to give Conte a real luxury, because we haven't had that so far this season. So on the surface, it's a really good move. Sadly, when you scratch the surface, there is another layer waiting, and that layer is slightly different. Us getting Giroud, giving Arsenal that money, has facilitated them improving. They now have a very, very dangerous front 3 and actually a front 4. And it's through us kick-starting that move. We allowed Batshuayi to go to Dortmund, which allowed Dortmund to sell Aubameyang to Arsenal. It's a shame, isn't it? It's slightly troubling. I think that they're going to be very potent up front, but I think they're flawed throughout their squad. The way that front 4 could play could be mesmerising, but it's the midfield and the defence that could still be a problem for them. I don't like strengthening Arsenal, and that's what we've done, but it would have been cutting off our nose to spite our face if we didn't allow this deal to go through. Us acquiring Giroud is good news. I'm pleased. plays centre forward for France. It's good, and if it works out half as well as it did the last player who moved from the Emirates to Stamford Bridge in Ashley Cole, there'll be another European Cup on the way.
And don't forget about Spurs. You know, they don't spend a lot of money often, especially in January. The last big January transfer that they did was Dele Alli, who they bought from MK Dons and sent him back on loan. So it was a surprise when they went into the transfer market, but they saw a bargain in Lucas Moura. Here's what Flav had to say about that signing.
Lucas Moura is a very direct, attacking, wide and central midfielder. He's an exciting player. He's tricky. In the last season in France, he had a 60% take-on percentage, which is very high, very exciting. And I think the reason why Spurs have managed to pick him up is because he's kind of become a fringe player in a squad full of Galacticos. You've got Neymar, Draxler, Pastore is in there, Di Maria, Mbappe. There's great players in that PSG squad that are on the peripheries because they're a special type of football club these days. And I think Spurs' tactic of picking up these players like Aurier, like Lucas, these are the players that should be playing first team football, but we've kind of been pushed out because there's so much star quality in that PSG side. Neymar himself came out and said that it's a mistake to let Moura go. He said he's a special talent, a very good player. So he ain't happy. Neymar is probably a better judge than me on whether or not this player should be playing first team football or not. Lucas is 25 years old. He's cost us £25 million. His prime is in front of him. This transfer window has kind of been dominated by Aubameyang, Mkhitaryan, Sanchez. And I think Spurs might have picked up the gem here. There's no denying the talent in all of those players, but no one's really talked about Lucas at all. And I think we might have the deal of the transfer window. Fingers crossed, there's a lot of potential there. All those guys are kind of reaching the edge of their peak, and we've got a player that could potentially do very, very special things in the Premier League.
So that's the top 10 transfers of the January 2018 transfer window. Let us know your thoughts on which one of those transfers or another one was the best bit of business of the January transfer window. Hit subscribe if you're watching the channel for the first time. Click like as well. I'll see you very soon.